With us right now, Steph Shinabery. Did I say that right?
You got it right.
Yeah, what a fun last name. I like it.
Thank you.
Steph, you're found on the web at StephShinabery.com. That's SHINABERY.com. Steph, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Josh. I'm excited to be here.
So I like this. You're very, very clear. This is what Steph does. I help coaches, consultants, and experts attract their dream clients without paid ads. All right, Steph, how do you do that?
I love this. This is my thing. I love this. So mostly I've used Facebook, and it's all organic marketing through the profile, through attraction marketing. What I have found recently is people getting kind of like burned out and not having their message dialed in. So it's really a lot about that and creating a message that you're aligned with, really unlocking your genius to talk about what lights you up. But then a lot of times it's content marketing to a Facebook group, and then getting people into conversations on phone calls or through DMs.
Okay, let's spend some time unpacking what you just said there, because those are some big. If that were a 3-part book right there, that each
Right.
of those I think could be well, it could be certainly at least a chapter or two. So let's start with kind of this idea of clarity and and messaging.
Right.
Why is that not obvious? Why do you think that many of us maybe don't really have that dialed in? And how is that keeping us from sales?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think first of all, people are, especially newer, like I will work mostly with coaches. They're like following kind of like this cookie cutter pattern of like watching what other people are doing, and you've got to find a way to cut through the noise. And you've got to dial in who it is that you're talking to. And so kind of like getting specific on that, on like niching down, but also what is it that you want to say in the world? What is it that you want to create that's original? And so I'm all about originality and creating something that's aligned with who you are. And so I've created this process called the Genius Identity Code. And that's kind of like going through, that's where I feel like that's where your message and your mission comes through from. Your story of challenges, triumphs, and transformations is where it all comes from. So we really dive deep into your story and your history. I see so much content that's like teaching content that everyone is teaching you how to do something. And we see that we're so inundated with that it's hard to connect with that. People want to know you, and then they want to know that you're the one that can take them there, but they want to know who you are. So really, a lot of people don't even know who they are or let their values guide them. So really diving into your values and your vision and all of that.
Yeah, the great thing about having clarity around who you are, what you do, what your mission, purpose, values are, is it makes decision making extremely easy. And I'll just explain, like from a media perspective. So, so I've done 700-800 TV segments or whatever, but we've helped a lot of people also get media coverage historically. And if I'm making an introduction to a reporter and they can't figure you out within just a few seconds, it's kind of over. It's like, you're not real memorable, right? So, with Savings Angel, like my other company, it was really easy. Oh, Josh is the guy. Josh knows how to get hookups and deals on everything. That cat knows how to save money. If a story ever comes out and it has to do with saving money or the price of gas is going up, whatever, anything to do with like consumers needing to save money, who's our guy? Well, it's Josh, right? And so it's super, super easy. I was super memorable. And that's really why, I ended up getting like 2,000 media appearances, because I just made it really easy for people to remember who I am and what I do. And that's so the same thing for coaches and consultants, and you're hanging out in the business owners communities, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing and I'd like your take on this. So my wife is a really talented marriage and family therapist. And she works within some specific communities, and my marketing, you can't usually, Marketing advice to spouses,
Oh, yeah.
usually, good luck.
Right.
But if she were to say, okay, I'm going to go do that, profit not in their own land,
Right.
is that, just go, be helpful, and answer story or answer questions with stories, answer questions, just like, and weaving in, what is your authority? Like, so for example, like if, let's say someone's asking about, how to have a difficult conversation with their spouse, for example, she could very easily say, hey, licensed marriage and family therapist checking in here. Let me give you a take on, what I've seen with some of the clients that I've worked with. Now, what I just did there is, number one, I'm not out there really selling, right? I'm going to go ahead and weave in a few things that I want that audience who's reading that to know. Number one, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Okay, cool. Clarity. I'm not doing it in a salesy way. I'm sharing it in a way that feels very natural. And I see, Steph, I see. Oh, let me. Before I get on my soapbox here for a second, as if I'm not already on my soapbox. But also number two, answering questions with stories. So what'll happen is that people will see you dispensing information in a story format. So what they're doing now is they're reading the story of, say, something you've done, someone you've worked with, blah, 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 right? And so they're like, cool, they're reading that story, but what they're in their mind, what they're doing is they're replacing themselves for that outcome that you helped create. So that's why stories are so powerful. And to the moderators and everyone else who's like making sure that people aren't selling in the community, right. Guess what? You're going to totally fly under the radar because you're not selling, but this is the best way to sell, is just be a storyteller, be a giver, kind of share your authority in a very non-salesy way. This is what you're saying, Steph. This works.
It does work. And it is so, everybody's so used to being sold to if you're in these communities. So if you're just telling a story, I so agree with this, that it is like, wow, that's really helpful. And and exactly right. They're putting themselves in your shoes. And also it elevates you as the authority. Like you said, it's just like, oh, wow, this person is helping people get through these things without ever saying that.
Yeah. And talk about, Steph. Let's give a little tough love to, I call it this entrepreneurial hustle out there, where it's just, there's, what they're doing. It's not leading with their heart. They're leading with their desperation, where they want to make the sale. I'll speak first, and then I'll let you.
Sure.
I'm a punch him in the nose a few times, and I'll let you punch him in the nose a few times. We all know what you're doing. Right. You're not fooling anybody. Your attempts that are very transparent, like everybody in the community knows exactly what you're doing, and it's really icky. It's uncomfortable for everybody. It's like, I remember going to this one mixer event, and this guy was just going from person to person to person, and he was just, it's like, he wasn't even talking with me. He wasn't even with me. He was just kind of going into this robo pitch mode, and it was like, I felt so invisible, and I felt so cheap as a result of that approach. Right. All right, Steph, so tag. We're doing tag team wrestling here. I just tagged you in.
Okay, cool. So I love this. And this story that you're telling me reminds me of, I think if we will use our time going into Facebook groups as trying to picture it as a real networking event, like, okay, just a picture ourselves answering this person instead of like, oh, you can come over to my website, or you can, this is how you do it, or whatever these, I can go see one of those questions and, like you say, nope, nope, nope. And then I'm like, how can I answer this without any expectation of return? Yes. So just picture this. You're in this room where, like you were in this networking event, and someone asked a question, and there's people standing around. And it would be like me stepping in and going, well, my company does that. And well, my company, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't. You would say, you would answer them. You would answer them with a story or that. I mean, there are people that probably would say that.
Yeah.
just imagine 10 people doing that. It's like, oh my God, like the
Yeah.
person would run away.
Imagine what would happen, Steph, if you spent 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week, just going out and helping people, like being of service. What would happen to your coaching business if you did, if you committed to that? And again, don't, um, naturally, I think, on your profile and stuff like that, you should make it easy for people to kind of connect the dots. But usually what you'll find, if like you go above and beyond, like when it comes to helping and truly showing your heart, and by the way, you're not going to be able to fool anybody. So if you are selfish, it's going to be real tough for you. If you have a servant's heart, if you read like Bob Burg, the Go-Giver, right, and you practice that, people will feel it. People will know what's in your heart. You're not fooling anybody.
I agree. People will know if you're being authentic. Plus, your energy is just going to be different because you're doing it without any expectation of anything in return. And people are going to see that. And I really believe that when we give stuff out, it's going to come back to us. I've done this for myself. I'm a nurse anesthesiologist, and I found this online marketing space, and I'm like, this is so cool. I can make money doing this. And I created this business. I was having success. I created this business, but the intention was, how can I create a business? And I was serving, but I didn't love it. I didn't feel like it was my thing. And when I just stepped back and said, you know what, I'm just going to do what I love and help people that way. And if I'm successful, fine. And if not, I make really good money as a nurse anesthesiologist. So I think it is just coming from a different place. And you're right. People know, they know if you're coming from your heart or if you're coming at them as you see dollar signs.
Yeah. Steph, what's the Genius identity code that I see you're mentioning that on your website?
So
and maybe we already talked about this a little bit, but
well, I think I kind of mentioned it a little bit,
yeah.
And that's where so basically it's really about unlocking your gifts. A lot of times people won't be able to see their gifts that they have, that they do naturally, that it comes automatically, and maybe they're not using that in their business. And so really going back through their story of like their challenges and triumphs, and what the thing that you loved when you came, or the thing that you learned when you came through a triumph, is often tied to your why and your purpose. And then so that's the second part. So your gifts, your purpose. And then the third part is your path. So we have a special gift. We have a purpose. Now, how are we gonna bring that into the world, and how are we going to show up and create something original? And it basically is, really using your values and your personality, and what is it you stand for, and what is it you stand against, and tying all of these things actually into in each one of those has, like, you can tie it into a code, is what I call it. So like, for instance, mine is creative possibility architect is my gift, and helping people fully express their message and their mission, and through my values of freedom, authenticity, or freedom, adventure, and creativity. So really using your values as a guide to how you're going to propel your business forward. And I think you said it, Josh, it makes decision making easy, because when you have your values lined up and you know what direction you're going, everything just kind of funnels into that.
Indeed. So Rumi says, you shared this 5 days ago, let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray.
Right.
How can we better follow our hearts in business like that?
I love this, because I really think it is, I was reading this other quote around. I always do this test and I don't do it intentionally. I just notice how I feel as soon as I wake up in the morning. And it's like, am I ready to jump out of bed and go? Am I excited to go do the thing that I love to do? Or is it like, oh, hit the snooze button? That's kind of like my state, my aligned state. Am I aligned or am I not? And so really, that is kind of like listening to those emotions. And if we're not aligned, if we're not feeling that, we have to dig in and find out why. I mean, there's a big market for finding your purpose and all of this stuff. Like there's books and movies and all of the things. But really, if we would take the time to journal and ask the right questions about what we really want, then I think, no one can find it for you, but really diving into your story and your history. I am, again, back to medicine and anesthesia. We use a history of people to find out the problem of it or the diagnosis. And when we have that and we can name it, then we can create a path forward. So you have to find out what it is that you want. And I really believe following your curiosity and your passions are what's going to do it. Steve,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Steven Kotler. Are you familiar with? He's a peak performance guy. He wrote a few books, but there's this one that is just, I highly recommend it. It's called The Art of Impossible. And it's really about aligning these things that are going to help you with your actual biology, like your intrinsic driver. So curiosity, passion, purpose, autonomy, and mastery. And it all starts with curiosity. So really following your curiosity will lead you to your passion, will lead you to your purpose.
Yeah, I love it. Steph, someone who's going to your website and they're like, okay, I love what I'm hearing in this conversation, and they want to work with you. How do you work with folks?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing one-on-one work, heavy on the foundation of the Genius Identity Code, and then creating a signature system of whatever the thing that they want to create, how they get their clients' results from point A to point B, and then creating an offer, and then the marketing, which a lot of that's going to come from going through the Genius Identity Code.
Yeah, right. So your website is StephShinabery.com. Do you know, like, nationality wise, where Shinabery comes from?
I do. It's I'm not married anymore, but it's a married name, but it's Dutch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
having lived in Holland, Michigan, yes.
So I thought about changing my name back. My daughter is a Shinabery, and I love the name, and I'd had it for so long that I just kept it. It's Steph Shinabery. It just rolls,
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. So your website, StephShinabery.com. You can click on, there's a button right there that says get started now. Looks like you also have a book coming out soon. You've partnered with 100 amazing women.
Yep. There's 16 actually.
16. Oh, 16. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know where I saw 100, but
it might be a typo.
Yeah, right. that would be a big book. Yeah. 16 women. Yeah. And that's called Women Who Boss Up. And you got that listed in your menu as well. So that's fantastic. Steph, thank you. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.